Chapter 15 to 21. Will you like to record your experience in the Book of Chastiefol? On the same night, I was sitting on my bed with the Book of Chastiefol in my hand writing my experience of meeting King Arthur and the knight family she grew up with. Under the moonlight, I wrote my experience combined with my writing skills. It enhanced the story, earning me more points. For meeting King Arthur of this era and making him and his family happy, you have earned 4,000 experience points. Total experience points remaining, 9,990. Whoa! I didn't expect this many points. I exclaimed. When I participate in big events, I ended up earning more points. 4-2, Guardian. Points needed to unlock, 10,000. Still only 10 points short. I cited this since earning points was a different matter, but stacking them for unlocking forms of Chastiefol is another matter. I would have unlocked Guardian a long time ago but used some experience points on skills like fishing, cooking, agriculture, and mechanics to make my own magic toilet. Price for each form also matters, like Guardian, 10,000. Fossilization, 12,000. Sunflower, 15,000. Increase, 7,000. Luminosity, 500. Pollen Garden, 17,000. Each of their prices differs, but the best part was that I could unlock other forms without any order. After unlocking Guardian, I will go for Sunflower for magic offense, Increase for long and multi-range combat, and finally Pollen Garden for healing and defense. Although their prices were high, sticking to King Arthur will be enough to get those points more easily. Now that I think about it, isn't that Arthurian from Fate/staynight? I thought. I have seen most of the Type Moon series, and as far as I know, Arthurian was also King Arthur in her universe. Does that mean I am in a fictional world or alternate reality? I thought, then started thinking. Maybe it was the reason that I ended up confessing to Arthurian at first glance, I don't know, but it was my first time falling in love with, and it was refreshing. My waifu is real. Like other degenerate otakus, my eyes shivered from excitement. I was excited to make a name in Arthurian legend, but my waifu was real, another thrill. Wait. Then something rings my bell. I didn't remember her full story, but her end was not a very good one like other Fate servants. No, it was more accurate to say that I knew next to nothing. I only know the end result of her life, the Battle of Camlan, otherwise I was totally clueless. I won't let that happen. No matter what, I would never let that happen. Naive though it was, but I believed in my hard work, so I let that matter to my future self. I sighed and then took out a blank book to write a story. From my conversation with Arthurian, she seems to like lions, so I wanted to write the story of a lion. The Lion King. Just as I was about to write, I heard the annoying voice. Oh, what kind of book you would be writing, my love-struck beloved disciple? Merlin, you are blocking the light. I said to the incubus, who was sitting at the window boundary looking at me with a smirk. Merlin's POV. That's enough for now. I closed the book in my hand after giving a lecture about a king and his ruling laws to blonde-haired girl King Arthur, Arthurian Pendragon. That was a short lecture, Merlin. Arthurian simply smiled and said, like asking the reason for my early closure of the lecture. To make an ideal king, I have been giving Arthurian lessons and other education related to nobility to Arthurian since she was like 10, suitable age when kids started to understand the society. She received her training as a knight from Hector and then education from me at night in her dream world. I know that it sounds a little unreasonable, but it was the only choice to make King Arthur for the greater good. I want to hear it. I smiled simply. She made a confused look, like asking a question. She was not very intelligent, so she was not good at guessing others' intentions, but I am positive that she will learn to do so in her practical life. Mistakes that have been piling up in my shadows, hidden by my incubus side. So what happened today with your experience with Einar Sirius, my beloved disciple? I asked directly. This. She sounded confused and reluctant to explain and, blushing? It was the first time in my life that I saw her girly side. So when he came. Arthurian then explained what happened. I was just standing there listening to her story with my mouth wide open. 10 minutes later. PFF, ha 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 ha. I burst into laughter when she finished explaining. I can't believe my disciple fell in love with her at first sight. He, who would punch a beautiful woman saying begone thought, whenever someone gets close to him with lust, ended up falling for a boyish-looking girl with practically no sex appeal. It was too much for my poor stomach to handle. Oh dear Lord, I didn't know when the last time I laughed like this. I finally stopped laughing and wiped my tears of joy. Humans are delightful creatures, that is why I love them. Merlin, it is no laughing matter. And aren't you angry? She was confused and asked with a flustered face. Of course, I would be troubled since it is not going according to what Uther and I planned. If he really ends up hinder her path of an ideal king, then it would be huge trouble. Why would I be angry? I found it quite hilarious. I am not angry. Why would I be when my beloved disciple found his love partner? I mean, I ended up being perceived as a girl after so much training. She looked sad, but I only smiled and pat her shoulders. I am sure that if I pat her head, Einar would be angry, saying that I am stealing his waifu or something. I would never hate humans, no matter the cause, unless they are evil and cause evil to innocent people. For Einar, falling for you was weird, unplanned, but it is okay since he is an understanding guy. He will understand your reasons. If you say so. By the way, what do you think about him? Does she have feelings? If so, then I would let her decide. I am not forcing anyone. I think he was a very straightforward and honest guy. I cannot answer his confession, but I would like him to be my side. As a knight? Yes, that's what he also wants, so it aligns with the interest of the future. My clairvoyance told me the same thing, so it doesn't seem like I have to step in. I will just guide them, and facing the problem and solving them is up to them, right? Don't worry, as it won't change anything. I will be going then. You should also take a rest, I said, and came out from her mindscape. I then walked to the side of the house with the top floor facing moonlight. Just like I predicted, he will be given this quarter, so I jumped and sit on the boundary of the window. With my charming looks enhanced with the bright moonlight falling on my silver hair, he will be delighted to see me and may write a poem about my appearance, but I saw that he did not even pay any attention. That breaks my heart. Oh, what kind of book you would be writing, my love-stuck beloved disciple? Merlin, you are blocking the light. Geez, he is such a, what does he call, yes, Sundara. Merlin, are you here to warn me to stay away from Artoria? What? No, geez, why do I sound like a villain from your stories? I just come to see the face of my beloved disciple. Look how much have you grown. Come to the point, Merlin. Ahem. I am sure that you want to hear my reason for the action of making Artoria the legendary king, am I right? I asked, to which I got a nod in response from him. But before that, promise that you will only help her and respect her decisions in the future and not act on repulse when hearing her origin. I will be trusting you with this secret. I promise. I smiled at his good nature. Well, the thing is, I once saw that one day 2 dragons, one white and one red, will wake from their slumber and fight. Red being Britons and white being Saxon will fight to death, leading Britain's ultimate victory. This is the main prophecy, and what comes next was not in my hand. King Uther loved Princess Igraine, so after rising as court mage, Uther required my help in his marital problem, so did I helped. I watched over King Arthur before her birth and told him about the successor going to set foot in war-torn times. So, Artoria was born with the essence of dragon energy. She was a girl, but gender never mattered. So to train 4 hard times and protect her in early age, I entrusted her to King's most trusted vessel Sir Ector and rest in front of him. That what I explained. I am feeling like you omitted some information. What dangerous instincts he has. Even more than women I have met in my life. It was evident that he also loved and admired me like a teacher. He was indeed correct. I just didn't say the full truth. For creating ideal child, we needed an ideal woman. Igraine, the wife of Duke Cornwall, was the ideal woman, so I used my magecraft to let that woman bear the child from Uther. Although it damaged the relationship between Uther and Duke Cornwall, it was all solved with a talk. If I told him that, then he would surely have killed me or Uther, so something is better to keep unsaid. I understand, Merlin, but it won't change my first love for Artoria, so if you try to do so, then you will be making me your enemy. He glared and warned at me. Haha, of course, you can do so. Merlin? When I was about to leave, he called. Don't think that you are half incubus, that you don't understand. He said, and emerged his consciousness in imagination and transforms it into a written book. What does it mean? I asked myself, but the answer was behind me the whole time, and something I don't need to look upon since I could see everything. I also felt something towards Einar since he understands others more than me, and that's something I would later realize as envy. Einar's POV. I was sleeping peacefully when I noticed someone was looking at me. From the scent, I knew who that person was. Einar, how long are you going to pretend asleep? Till my beloved Artoria give me a kiss. I said and posed my lips to be kissed by Artoria, but it never came. Instead Artoria just tapped a pillow on my face. Please don't talk nonsense. Hector is waiting for you. She said. Then I heard a tapping noise of steps and knew that she was gone. I opened my eyes slowly and smiled. I came to the dining room where only Hector and Artoria were sitting. Hector was a retired knight, so he remained at home most of the time while living with his wife. His wife cooks for them and leaves with Kay for some job since she knew how to read and write. So only Artoria and Hector were in the house. I simply greeted them before Artoria brought my breakfast. It was probably the last time since from next morning I have to fetch my own food. I eat my breakfast while talking with Artoria and Hector about the current situation of Britain. Vortigern was slaughtering Britons as usual, nothing new. So what I would be doing? I asked after I finished eating. Running. Excuse me. You heard me, boy. I have to see your stamina. If it's not enough, then you have to build one. But I used to run when I was in Merlin's care. You may have, but we have to see. Arthur, take him to run around and report me. He asked Artoria. Very well, Hector. She agreed, then looked at me. Then Einar? Of course, anything for my precious AR. Wait for me. I thought she would take my hand and then we will enjoy jogging like a couple, but she already began before me. For those readers who don't know what kind of physical training I received, I will tell you that I ran 50 meters a day with 10 push-ups and pull-ups every day. Very hard workout, right? I always smirked and held greater pride in my otherworldly training, but I was utterly wrong. I ran after Artoria, but within few minutes, I started to become exhausted. Wait for Arthur. I tried calling Artoria, but she was running like she was strolling around the town with a monotone face. So that's what the essence of a dragon is? I pushed all my limits, even using mana as a source, then exhausting, but even then my muscles started to become stiff after an hour, and before I knew they gave a dead call. I fell on the ground like a puppet whose strings have been cut. Einar, how are you, Einar? Artoria finally noticed that I was lying on the ground. She came running back and bent down and asked, what are you doing here? I am bathing, sunlight. Why she is asking questions? Isn't that where you held your partner in embrace or give lap pillows under the shade of a tree? How naive, as her next question destroyed my fantasy. Is that so? But why are you bathing in sunlight? How are you bathing in sunlight since it's intangible? I turned my head to look at her face if she was a serious or pure idiot. Artoria, you are very adorable. Thanks you. I guess. She replied with a stutter. I came to know that she was quite airhead, but I like that part too. According to a certain silver head, if you love a person, love them wholeheartedly, even their dirty stuff. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 15 minutes. But my piggy bag never came. I now missed Vivian. Even Merlin sometimes used a garden of flowers to float me, but she on the other hand was only watching like an entomologist looking at ants. Artoria, isn't this part where you have to carry me on your back? Not good, Einar. You are supposed to recover stamina and then continue to complete lap no matter what. If you want, then I could wait for you, but you have to hurry since I have to practice sword soon. I saw worry in her eyes and felt bad holding her back. Guess it's no use in play dead, huh? I applied healing magic on my legs and then stood up. Let's go, I said, and we both nodded to continue our jog. Sometime later, I opened my eyes to see a big man sitting beside me carving something of wood. Good morning, Einar. Good morning, Hector. Do you still hold your pride? What pride? I simply rubbed my eyes and sat beside him. The last time I checked, I completed 10 laps around the town, and then I didn't know what happened next. I felt someone's hard yet slender back, but I wasn't awake to attend such a view. Thanks to mana my legs recovered, but they were still stiff. Ha! Hiya! I then saw that Artoria having a spar with Kay. They were using wooden swords, but techniques they were using were to strike opponents' body parts without destroying the wooden swords. It was far better swords play I have ever seen. What do you think of their techniques? Simply amazing. I can see that they polished their efforts from a very early age. I can't be at their level unless I use magic and a well-planned strategy. It was not like I was totally weak. It's just that I want to stand beside her as a knight that she could rely on. Brat, piece of advice, but you can't be best at everything. I admire your resolve to serve the king, but do so while going easy on yourself. If possible, then use magecraft or something in your close combat. I nodded and accepted his advice. I know how to enhance my physical strength by manipulating mana or simply using enchantment magic on my spear or body part to buff them. But I still want to become strong. Not just to stand on her side, but to stand for her. When I said that, he looked at me like I was some kind of ghost. You are a stubborn kid, are you? Of course I am. Why do you think I agreed to serve future king who doesn't have a penis? We stared at each other before burst into laughter. Haha, kid. Dirty mouth doesn't suit your adorable face. And that's what makes it special. That's right. She will ultimately be mine. She doesn't have what it made man a true man. I thought. We talked for a while when I saw Kay playing tricks on my Artoria. It is time to teach a knight a lesson on why he shouldn't mess with a mage's waifu. Achoo. Who is talking about me? Well, doesn't matter. Soon an ideal king will be born. A white-hair incubus said, then continued to forge the legendary weapon. Kay's POV. You lose, brother Kay, Artoria said, pointing her sword at me as I was on the ground tired from the spar. Don't think that you have one since I am still alive, I smirked, since I can't truly admit defeat. Who can defeat you when you are unbeatable in speaking BS? Brother Kay, it is the 10th time that you said that. Just admit defeat. No need to beat around the bushes. Sigh *, guess it is my defeat. See? Very easy. I got up from the ground, but then I saw Einar standing with his spear. Oh, I am still envious of his magic spear. Brat, don't try your luck since you will lose. You have quite a big mouth for an honorable knight. Are you planning on using it to fight as a knight? Damn him. I wanted to comment on his height, but let's say that it is not a good thing to mock someone's sore point. I am not scared of him. I also hold my weapon, which, in contrast to his magic spear, was a lance and ordinary on that. I was the first one to go offensive first since I have to teach him how to respect seniors. Hot dash. Slip. Just as I stepped forward, a magic circle appeared under my foot. I knew this shit since the next thing I know, I was on the ground facing the sky. Damn you, kid. Why did you use magic? Why do you ask? I never said that I won't be using magecraft. He smiled, no smirked, as you could mistake his grin for a smile under that adorable face. I was known about how to deal with mages. I am the son of one of the greatest knight of King Uther, who I don't like, and the best knight among my peers. I first griped my foot on the place where he didn't set a trap and jumped with my lance towards him. Take this. Clash *. Unlike before where he was using his hands to block, he blocked it with his levitation ability. Damn, he is a cheat. Taste something that will be discovered in 1755. He said some BS about later future and blew a back gas from his mouth. Arg! I felt immense itchiness in my nostrils that let me go of my lance and held my face. But he, on other hand, was a monster in a child's clothing as he slammed the back of his spear on my abdomen, making me fall to the ground. You. Cough *, I am still alive. Yeah, not buying it. And don't play these tricks with my Artoria again. He didn't listen to me and went towards Artoria, who was now looking at him with new light. How was my fight, my Artoria? Though you play dirty, I am happy that you beat my stupid brother. Thanks. I have been planning on making a new type of cuisine. Wanna try? Hi. They entered their own world, leaving me alone like dirt for the second time. Let's see, brat, how much you can bear with her. I shook my head and decided to learn some cooking skills to impress girls. It has been a month since I came and be part of Hector's family. Many things have changed, well, not really, a little. When I came here, I had to face several problems just like any ordinary person would face when moving to a new location, especially when the timeline is the 5th century. First was obviously the toilet. Thanks to my Romans, Britain didn't have problems with the sewerage system, but toilets were obviously of old fashion. So the first thing I did, I modified toilets in the house as well as adding a hot spring system for my beloved waifu. My relationship with Artoria as well as the rest of the family also grew strong. Artoria and I became best friends. We trained together with her in lead and me being fainting in the middle of her cruel training. I couldn't believe that she had so much stamina in her little body and strength, far stronger than anyone in the house. Whereas I also didn't give up in my training hoping to reach her level in strength, but I knew that due to my half-fae bloodline it not possible anytime soon, but it doesn't mean that I was weak. I am fairly strong using my mana strengthening my body added to physical enhancement. K and I had become brothers. He taught me some techniques using long weapons like lance or spear, but as I expected it didn't help me much in developing my spear fighting techniques since K uses lance where I use a spear. There is a difference between spear and lance. A spear is used for thrust and cut while a lance is used for thrust and power hit. But it didn't stop me from developing my own technique. Although it was still in the initial state, it was workable against different kinds of enemies. Not to mention I could levitate my spear and control it at my will. Readers might ask if I have Book of Chastiefol, then why I was not using it to upgrade my skills like spearmanship and levitation skill? The answer is simple. I can't. If there is something that is entirely new like my spearmanship or levitation, then I can't upgrade it since they are new from ordinary skills. It is entirely up to me how I learn these techniques, but it doesn't mean that book was totally useless. Learning B++. Anything can be learned with 100% more efficiency. E3, 6, 9. D10, 15, 20. C25, 40, 55. B60, 80, 100. A 100, 200, 300. And, just for sake of some readers into gaming stuff. Yeah, I sucked at this. Feel free to roast me. So I was learning faster than most of the people with 2x learning power. Anyway, Kay suggested me to become squire, which was not possible since I mages can't be squire, but I help Arthurian in her work. Hector and Marie also became my parents' figures since they treated me like Kay and Arturia. Overall my bond with the family was strong and it was my first time living with actual humans instead of a fairy or incubus. Ah, such a peaceful day, if you ignore evil dragon run havoc outside. Peepoo asterisk. I checked and squeezed the toy duck floating in my bathtub. I always take sweet time in the bath, especially the one I built in Hector's house. As a fae, I don't really release much waste, but I like my human side to enjoying bath, so it is not much of a problem. Welp, time to get up. I get up from the tub and came out, then put a towel on my blonde shiny hair. Let's not waste water, I said while thinking about whether to sink the water or not. Since it could be used again as water is rare here, I didn't want to waste it. Rubbing my head with a towel, I came out from the bathroom and was about to stand in front of a long mirror and praise my angelic body when I saw a blonde hair girl looking at me in a daze. Arturia? Arturia's POV. Was it that hard to find happiness? The answer was no. Our life in Hector's house, my foster father, was not much adventurous and happy before. Train, helping brother K, and then taking lessons from Merlin in my dream, that's all I had. Where is my wish? It doesn't exist since it was decided even before I was born, so no, I don't have one. However, it was changed when Einar, my best friend, came to our house and filled it with happiness. I don't know if it was his fey blood or his general nature, but spending time with him feels like we are alive. Every day we live, days went with smiles, and if not smiles then hope to move forward, it was because of Einar, yes. He cooks delicious food, then after the food, he tells us some poems, some from his foresight and some of his own, but I enjoyed it a lot since they are funny. He even changed our lifestyle to make us comfortable by making some modifications. For example, he added hot springs, which are also something from the distant future of 1500 AD. Today, however, something happened to the hot spring as it is not working and another bath was occupied by Hector, while next in line is brother K who won't let me bath first, so I came here in Einar's room waiting for him to get out. He slowly gets out from the door rubbing his hair with a towel, and naked? Huh. I was stunned looking at a man of the opposite sex but naked in front of me. It was not like I don't know the difference between boy and girl, but it was my first time looking at a male boy naked. I wouldn't be surprised looking at someone without clothes, but he is a different case. Pure milky skin coupled with the childish body of an 11-year-old child was so enchanting that I couldn't look away from staring at his body. There are some muscles on his body, but they didn't tint his charm a single bit, instead of making it more appealing to eyes. It is the skin of an angel, and I am a criminal. If I was a girl and a normal one on that, then I would have been jealous of him possessing such fair skin. Even noble ladies would fail to shape such hourglass figure. But his skin was not the only thing that catches my eyes. The thing between his legs, was this thing supposed to be this long? What am I thinking? I want to shake away these thoughts, but I am petrified looking at his thing. Arturia? He calls me and I was taken by surprise. Wha? Done enjoying looking at my dragon wifey? He says with a grin. Oh, I know that face, here comes the teasing part. WY, are you naked? I ask another stupid question with desperation since I have to get out of here. Because this is my room, Arturia. He says with a smile and raised brows. Ah, he looks so cute. Wait, it's not the time to admire his adorable face. Then put on some clothes. Aren't you ashamed? Well, this is my room and I didn't know you would get so enchanted looking at my bare body, so I let you see one. By the way, how's my body? Is that of your taste? He then removed the towel and poses with his hands up behind his back. I started to feel a little hot, just like when he confessed to me the first time, but this time the case was extreme as the blood pressure started to rise and a drop of red liquid came out from my nose. Yeah. Being so charmed by his pure body for the first time, I almost agreed before I shake my head and refute. No. Please don't show your body carelessly. It is a shameful act. Sigh asterisk who I am talking about? I just wanted to use your bath since the hot spring is not working and the regular bath is busy. Oh, you can go in. The water is warm, cozy and it has my smell. You could call it holy water since it is bathed by a fairy. Be grateful, Arturia. He says with a smile. I nod since I don't want to waste water and I don't see a problem using the same water used by him even if I ignore his holy water. I was about to go inside when he suddenly came in front of me and pushed me against the wall. He put his left hand on the wall to my right side of my head and right hand on my chin, turning my head down since he is short. I know this position from his own description. What it is called again? Right, Cabidan. My dear Arturia. He calls my name with listless eyes. His eyes didn't lose color like when he is sad but are very cold. That rings a bell on my spine. I don't know if I did anything wrong, but his eyes were giving me creeps. No, Arturia Arthur, stay strong as you have a big responsibility to become King of Britain. I reminded myself and composed my expression. Yes. You know the price of seeing Faye naked? I shake my head in denial. Take responsibility. Okay. I nod since as a king, he comes under my protection. Look Arturia, I don't care about you acting male, but if you decide to show your body to any men beside me, remember that a scheming Fae is far more destructive than any dragon. You got that? Yes, I have no such intention. Good, that's why I love you so much Arturia. I will be to your side till my death and won't let you suffer alone. I nod and then enter the bathroom. Just as I enter, I fall with my legs giving up. My heart was beating faster and my body was shivering. Perhaps it is due to his aphoristic body or those cold eyes. I am feeling hot, but his last words take all of my worries away like butter. I smile and decide to take bath. At that time I didn't know that I would be hurting the very person I cherished most in my life. Einar's POV. Such nice weather. I took a deep breath of fresh air and smiled under the warm sunlight. If you think what is the best part of early ages, then it would be the clean atmosphere. This guardian is really nice. I will call you Mono. I said to the giant stuffed bear that I was sitting on its shoulders. Chastiefol second form Guardian. Guardian is a big 8 meters tall stuffed bear by shapeshifting the moss that grows along its body. While in this form the moss body will parry any physical attack, but can also be directly controlled by the host to fight or immobilize enemies with its 4 arms. Due to the high water concentration within the moss, it is highly resistant to fire. However, because of this quality, it bears a weakness against cold and freezing attacks. Additionally, the form's soft, fluffy body allows it to resist blunt force attacks. However, any of those weaknesses could be nullified by the host's enchantment magic. So yeah, not long ago, I unlocked this form and now I was strolling in the vicinity plains near Ector's house. It had the best defense and was quite good with chores as I could control its size from 1 to 8 meters. It also had its own intelligence that prioritizes my protection above everything else. After some more tests, I came across a stable and saw a blonde hair girl combing her favorite horse. I dematerialized Guardian and then erased my presence by minimizing the sound and other factors that are noticeable and walked near her stealthily. Ito, sorry for not combing you yesterday. Einar prepared a new cuisine called Hot Pot, so I have to try it since I didn't want to break my best friend's heart. Me ie. Her host named Ito neighed when she mentioned my name. That horse clearly hated me since she started to pay more attention to me than her horse, but her habit of talking to her horse didn't get away because of her lonely previous nature. And guess what, he also unlocked a new function of his weapon. I am so happy that he was getting strong. Me I. Ito whined again, clearly displeased by Arturia talking about me. You really miss me a lot that you are talking to a horse. I decided to reveal myself. Ah, Einar, you scared me. How long were you standing there? She startled a little and asked. Just when you were talking how handsome I look and you can only admire me from distance to dash. Okay, stop. I get it. She cut me off with an embarrassed face. It was my third time catching her talking to herself. Nay. Ito also whined like saying that, yeah, get lost. How did you manage to appear like that? Just some magic silly thing. Be careful since you could be assassinated. Assassinated? Oh, forget about it. I forgot that Hasanai Sabah and his organization hadn't been born yet, so the term assassination. By the way, wanna take a ride on my guardian? Nah. I have my Ito. So I will pass. By the way, I have never seen you ride a horse? She asked, and my mood immediately changed to a stiff expression. Well, I have my circumstances, I answered with a stutter. Her airhead smile turned into a grin for a second, then reverted back to normal as she spoke. What would be those? You see, they are jealous of my little dragon. You have seen it, so you should know how big my little brother is, right? I said with a silly smile. She coughed with tinted cheeks, then asked seriously, please don't use vulgar words. It is fine if you don't want to share it with your best friend. She then made a sad expression. It is one of Artoria's best friend card that she used to force me on her demands. Wait, no. Well, the thing is. Flashback start. Third person's POV. A boy and a horse could be seen alone in a green field. You could say that they were ready for a voyage across the planet just by looking at the boy's confident smile. Who said that riding a horse is an art? The boy named Einar Sirius Dulac addressed a certain incubus who was not there at the moment. Nay. The horse standing beside him also whined, but he looked a little displeased with the person about to ride him. Ha. Yeah, it's child's play. How could this oversized animal even harm me? Einar said, then jumped on the horse using magic and able to land on its back safely. Nay. Horse whined again and tried to shook Einar, but the boy was strongly holding the halter. You stupid horse, you think you are better than me? Einar smirked and pulled the halter with all his might, startling the horse to first stand upper legs, then use that inertia to jump using lower body. Huh. Before he knew, he was already in the air, but the adventure didn't end there as the horse used the force generated from front legs, then using the same force on back legs, kicking right on Einar's jaw, sending him flying in the air. Team Rocket is blasting off again. Fatality. Flashback ends. Einar's POV. Nay, ha. PFF. Oi, I told you not to laugh, and what with that horse's stupid chuckle? I retorted and crossed my arms. Sorry, my bad. How about I teach you to ride a horse? She offered with a smile. Can you? Of course. Leave it to me. We came to an open field where there was no one to bend except me, Artoria, and her horse Ito. We should have changed the horse? It's okay, Ito is a gentle horse. Nay. She said, then climbed on Ito's back and offered her hand. I hesitated for a moment since I was still a little scared of horses, but after seeing her assuring smile, I took her hand and climbed. I, however, hugged her tightly with closed eyes when I heard her cry. Kia! What happened? I asked confusedly, opening my eyes, then squeezing something small yet soft. Why your hands? She said with rosy cheeks, pointing my hands grabbing her chest. What a wonderful, I am so sorry, Artoria. I immediately apologized and let go of her tiny breasts, but not before squeezing for one last time. I didn't want to be perceived as a pervert taking advantage of her. Although I appeared naked in front of her, it was unintentional and I didn't use that moment to take advantage of her. It's okay. Be careful in the future. She smiled and patted my head with a twitching face. Another advantage of being Shota and having a cute face. Watch me how I handle it while also giving you instructions. Umu. I nodded. Somewhere between 37 and 68 AD in Rome in the distant past. Who nodded with my signature catchphrase to a girl who was a cheap copy of mine. A certain blonde-haired girl said, waking up from her nap on the throne and looking around, but there was no one in her glorious castle. Must be imagining. Umu. Back to the main story. Artoria then started to ride and instructed me on the basics of riding a horse, from checking all belts tied around the horse's head to some parts where a horse gets emotional sometimes because of some kind of disease or pain from horseshoes. Now try it out. She asked me to sit in front and hold the halter. After gaining a little bit of confidence, I moved in front and then sit holding the halter. After one final breath of confidence, I shook the halter lightly and Ito started to move slowly. Artoria, look, it is moving. I am actually riding a horse. I exclaimed to my heroine sitting on my back while my eyes were on the front. Good job, Einar. Nothing is impossible. You just have to work hard and take some risk. She smiled and patted my head. Thanks, Artoria. I will keep on those words. I said then keep on shaking halter at her instruction and control the horse. Artoria just sighed with a helpless smile and hugged me softly, and without saying words, we enjoyed our peaceful time. Later on, dusk when the sun was falling asleep, I knocked on the door of her room. Oh, it's you, Einar. Do you want to say something? She opened the door and asked while offering to enter, but I refused. No, it's just that I want to give you something as an appreciation for all of your efforts in training me and teaching me new things. I said then opened the book of Chastiefol. It's fine, Einar. You have also helped in many ways more than what I did, and besides, we are friends so it's natural to help each other out, right? Whoa. I didn't know Merlin could teach something about friendship stuff, and where did you hear those lines? Come on. Don't spoil the mood. She retorted and puffed her cheeks. Haha, my bad. Anyway, here it is for you. I took out something and gave it to her. As I said, it's fine. What is this? Her words stopped in the middle as she asked, unfolding a brown warm and fluffy sweater with the hood of a lion face. It's sleepwear that I made for you. It has a special enchantment that I added that will keep your temperature whether in cold or hot weather, and since you like lions, I added lion shape. I explained. Wow. It's so awesome. I mean, you shouldn't have to concern yourself for me. Although she was excited looking at her new lion pajamas, she was still reluctant to accept such an expensive gift since magical items could be called national treasures from their utility. Now you will be hurting my pride and discouraging my hard work by saying this. Just accept and show me how do you look. I explained, and she finally accepted it. She then came out with an embarrassed face looking cute in her new pajamas. She was looking exactly like Lion King Artoria from Carnival Phantasm and looking very adorable. How do I look? She asked with a flustered face. Very cute, Artoria. Just like the Lion King. I said and nodded with a smile. Do you like it? Yeah, very much. She nodded then looked at me to thank me hesitantly before leaping forward for a light hug. Thanks, Einar. You're welcome, Artoria, I replied with the same warm embrace in return with my head on her chest and arms around her waist. Einar, your hands. She then spoke coldly. Oops, my bad. I moved my hand back to her waist just when it touched her butt. Folkestown, Church. Thank you very much, Sir Einar. A woman bowed. You're welcome. Please come again if you have a problem or your relatives. A child said with a white robe said, reassuring the girl. The woman who just thanked the child in robe was able to see a clear look at the child's face, so she stood again and nodded. She then hesitated for a moment, then asked with a blush, if you don't mind, would you like to have a dine at my house? I am alone at the house since my husband is a peddler and is away, so, how about it? The child, whose face was hidden under a white hood exposing only his childish lips, turned his head at the blonde-haired boy with girlish features standing beside him and smirked. The blonde-haired boy frowned a little upon receiving the smirk, then the child turned again to look at the blonde-haired woman looking thirsty. Ho! Then what time shall I come? You better prepare well for my arrival. Ha! Thank you then. How, about, at dash. She started to fidget with a visible flustered face and was talking when the blonde-haired knight with girlish features lightly unsheathed his sword. Ma'am, if you are done then please leave since other patients might be waiting for the appointment, and behave next time since this is a church. Knight, no, he was just a squire of a knight, spoke with a cold tone sending shivers to the woman's spine. Hi, the woman panicked and left hurriedly with cold sweat. The child named Einar was me who, upon the leave of woman, removed his hood. What a bummer. It looks like my best friend Arthur is way overprotective of me to let me leave at thirsty women's hands. I raised my brows at my blonde-haired knight. He was wearing his brown light leather armor and carrying a sword. He was actually a she from inside, but was now acting as Arthur instead of Artoria. Einar, would you stop doing this? You could have ignored that woman in the first place. Artoria shook her head and told me with sight. But there is no fun in there, and besides, my lovely knight is here to protect my chastity, right? I chuckled. This is Church Einar and I am Arthur here, so behave, Artoria said with a heavy voice mimicking a male, but a slight blush could be seen on her cheeks. Hee, you are too adorable, my lovely friend Arthur. I chuckled and told her, but she shook her head, covering her face with a hand. Besides, if I told you that Merlin often had blowjobs at these kinds of holy places, and you would lift your faith from that half-incubus. I thought, looking at Artoria, who tilted her head in confusion. Artoria was the squire of Brother K and me as his mage. Besides normal training routine, she was tasked with odd works in the capacity of Brother K's squire. Since I was a mage, I couldn't become a squire, so he asked me to help him to help townspeople. My work included healing and making medications for people, as well as some other work that requires a wise man's advice. As Merlin's personal disciple, I was giving a lot of benefits and a higher standing in the town more than Artoria, who was just a squire. But they underestimated my adorable face that attracted many hungry beasts, as women stated, to seduce me occasionally even in front of their husbands, which raised quite the conflict. Of course, I could have defended myself, but why would I do so if there is my lovely knight here to protect me? And so Artoria, or Arthur in public, was now acting as my personal attendant or bodyguard indirectly. It sounds a little gay. She was not acting as Artoria, a simplistic airhead town girl, but Arthur, squire and training knight of Sir K. If someone saw me flirting with her, then they would surely guess that I am into men, but thanks to my height, I could only be called a child with adoration for a knight. The door of the room opened and a nun entered. Thanks for the hard work, Sir Einar and Sir Arthur. She bowed lightly and thanked us. She was a training nun in the church of the town and also our attendant for managing patients. Haha, it's nothing. Besides, I got to see beautiful Sister Ursula by checking some patients, so it's worth it. I chuckled and said, but I felt a cold glare which I ignored intentionally. Is that so? Haha, Sir Einar is very funny. Please don't praise a nun in church. She indirectly told me that if she was not a nun, she would have answered my flirt. Yeah, Romans are assholes. I just said nonchalantly cursed Romans for putting the concept of Vestal virgins in Christianity when there is no say in Bible. Not good, Sir Einar. A child shouldn't swear words like this, and more so in a church. Sister Ursula became serious and reprimanded me like a teacher, another individual mistaking me as a child. PFF. Artoria snickered but coughed upon my angry glare. Fine. Let's go, Arthur, we are leaving. I shook my head since I was tired to remind people that I was a 15-year-old teen with a dick bigger than most adult men. We then left the church with Artoria following behind. A child shouldn't swear. Not now, Arthur. Hi. She also liked to tease me when it comes to my height, since I only grew a centimeter in the past couple of months, which was still frustrating. We then came to the alleyway when we heard a soft bark. Woof asterisk. It was a stray dog with pure white fur looking at us with puppy eyes. Woof asterisk. Look, Einar, it's a dog. Artoria shook me excitedly with stars in her eyes. No shit, Sherlock. I can see that. Why she was so excited looking at a dog? I was way cuter. It seems like he has an owner. I saw that the dog had a collar on his neck, so it was not a stray one. Ah, it's so cute. Careful, Sir Arthur, your inner woman is coming out. All right. Cough asterisk, it is a cute dog indeed. I shook my head, then stood up and about to leave when Artoria stopped me. Hey, shouldn't we look for his owner? This poor creature is alone. He has owner Arthur, so he might come looking after his dog. But still. Fine. We then agreed to look for the owner. Artoria asked me if I have something to feed the dog. I nodded and take out a bowl and a little piece of meat about 1 centimeter. I put the undetectable fiber of meat in a bowl and placed it in front of the dog. Hey dog, come and eat the premium meat. I smiled at the dog. The dog looked at me dryly, then bowl, then me again, then bowl before smacking the bowl away. You stupid dog. How dare you to be so ungrateful? I wanted to teach that dog some lesson, but Artoria stopped me. Stop it, Einar. You were being greedy. Some put some more food. But it was for making a new dish. Are you sure you want to sacrifice premium meat to feed this stupid dog? I asked Artoria, who was taken back then drooled when fantasizing new meat dish prepared by me. Wolf asterisk dog barked as if saying, who are you calling a stupid dog, ya motherfucker? Yeah, I was not on good terms with animals even after being half fey. Artoria shook her head and just like a knight ready to sacrifice his life for his motherland, she agreed. It's okay. Besides how much this little guy could eat. Don't regret it later, I said, then decided to let the dog eat a little more. 15 minutes later. Burp asterisk woof asterisk. The dog let out a big burp and then barked while caressing his swollen belly. Well, my dear knight, no more meat for this month. I sighed and informed the frowning future king. It was a necessary sacrifice. Artoria was shaking from suffering a big loss since the dog ate all the meat of 2 kilos. He has a similar appetite to you, Arthur, I smirked at Artoria, who just sighed before she starts crying. After a minute of silence, we decided to search for the owner of the little dog, so I tied a rope on his collar and left that place. I wanted to put a big heavy chain on his collar, but again Artoria stopped me. Hey, auntie. Is that stupid dog yours? I asked a passing by woman pointing at the dog. Who are you calling auntie? Oh my, isn't that Sir Einar? If you dash. Okay, fuck off. I ignored her, then we moved forward. We should not call him a stupid dog, Artoria asked. Then what should we call? How about a name? A name? I then thought about if we should name that dog. Suddenly a bell rang in my head as I smirked. I bent down looking at the dog and smiled. How about Shiro? Woof asterisk growling asterisk. He growled when I asked to name him after a future wannabe hero. I don't think he likes that name and neither do I. It sounds very weak. Artoria suggested. I was baffled looking at her and blinked several more times before confirming that I was not dreaming. What? You are so lovely. Please behave. As usual, she coughed with blush and disapproved. How about Caval? Artoria came up with a name to which the dog happily barked and moved his tail. We then asked several more people in the town but didn't find the owner, so we decided to leave the town and adopt the little dog, hoping for Hector's approval. Hee, Caval, catch. Artoria threw a frisbee to which a dog named Caval jumped and caught the disc. I was just looking at the happy figure of my lover playing happily with a stray dog that I didn't like, but I can't help here since she liked that dog. It was not like I was jealous or something. So, should we return? I asked Artoria and Caval in her embrace. Before she could say, we heard an old man's voice. Is that my Caval? The old man came looking at the dog. Woof asterisk. Caval replied with bark and jumped from Artoria's embrace before uniting with his owner. The old man was the original owner and folk in the countryside. Coincidentally, the dog's original name was also Caval. After showing his appreciation, the old man left with Caval. Artoria was sad and was waving her hand looking at the way where Caval left. I smiled and hugged her from the right. Sad? A little. Don't worry, you have me, the cutest existence in this world, I said and raised my brows. Fufu, it's true, but you don't like being treated like a child. You are the exception, my dear. I shrugged my shoulders. Artoria checked again before extending her hand. Thanks, Einar, you are my best friend. Let's go. I nodded with a smile and took her hand before we also parting for home holding hands. By the way, Artoria, you are still not getting any meat this month. Ugh. 2 individuals could be seen exchanging strikes with wooden swords in an open field. Ha! Artoria swung the sword vertically, but I dodged it successfully by crouching down and then took some distance, but she leaped forward in the blink of an eye and before she could deliver a strike, I swung my sword. Take this. I swung, but she blocked it effectively with her wooden sword. It was the usual day when both of us were having a light spar to polish our fencing skills. She, who was practicing from a very young age, was way better with her skills, so she had the upper hand. Whereas I was also keeping with her by using my analysis skills to full extent and agility, which increased drastically from several months of training. Both of us could have won in our own ways, with Artoria delivering finishing blow with mana burst and me using my magecraft by forming a strategy for certain victory, but neither of us had any desire to use mana and gain victory over each other since the objective of the spar was to polish skills. You have gotten better, Einar. Haha, and you too. Both of us smirked and then leaped forwards for final strikes, but then I noticed Artoria was slower than before. I didn't know why her speed decreased, but I could tell that she was exhausted and was not using her full strength even from a light spar perspective. It was a little weird since she had stamina way better than anyone in the house, so I was a little confused. Anyway, I saw a slight opening, then adjusted my sword pointing at her chest and deliver a thrust just between her abdomen. Coo! Artoria groaned and pushed back, then fell to the ground. Hey, are you okay? I ran after her, and without asking her, I immediately cast a healing spell on her. Huff *, I am fine. Just a little tired, no need to worry. She was clearly exhausted, which was my first time seeing her in that state. Idiot, don't push yourself. I was a little worried and annoyed with her since she was very stubborn with her way of doing things at the cost of her bearings. Thanks, Einar. She smiled and I nodded, but my worry didn't get away. Later night on the same day. Loud thunderclaps could be heard outside the house and heaving rain was falling. It was a rainy season like this was not unusual on the island of Britain. Brother K, I should come if it is the state of emergency, I asked Brother K, who was preparing to go outside in stormy weather. Yeah. I could also accompany you. Artoria also offered her help, but she was looking a little pale. Thank you too, but it was just some matter related to merchants, I could handle it. Hey, don't look at me like that. I am strong, you know. Brother K said nonchalantly, then climbed on his horse. But you always lose to us. I chuckled, to which I only receive a click of the tongue and annoying glare from him, and then I asked, are you sure to leave me with her? At that time, there were only 3 of us siblings in the house. Marie was in the town and trapped with paperwork, while Sir Hector was outside the town to meet some noblemen. And then an emergency came that required Brother K's presence, so he was also leaving. You two are grown-ups, and besides, even if you are a pervert, you won't do anything weird to your brother and best friend, right? It is just gay, so bye. He uttered those words before leaving quickly. You fucker. Come back here. Who are you calling a pervert when you are the one who was chucked by 3 women already? I yelled, but he was already left. He is such a douche, right, Artoria? Artoria? She was pale and huffing cold air, not responding to my call. And Einar, I am feeling hot. She said with a heavy breath. If there was any degenerate in my place, he would have guessed a lewd scene, but it was a concerning matter for me. I didn't say a thing and placed my hand on her forehead when I realized that she was boiling and suffering from cold fever. Oh my God! After some time. Einar. I want to go for a pee. Accompany me. Artoria was acting weirdly delirious from her fever and lying on the bed. I, on the other hand, was quite tensed about how to look after a patient. It was not my first time looking after a person with a cold, but she was different and acting weirdly, so I didn't know if normal methods of humans would work on her. What the hell I am thinking? I then realized that she was after all a girl, so I shouldn't be treating her like an alien. If you ask, why shouldn't I use my healing spells on her? But the answer is a denial, since there was no spell against diseases like a simple cold. Einar. Why are you not listening to me? Artoria was annoyed and called me with half-opened eyes. I will pee on the bed if you don't take me to the toilet. Why do you need me in the first place? Because it's scary. Sigh * fine. In the end, I accompanied her to take her toilet. Of course, she was clinging, saying that I need to come inside the toilet, and I go with her demanding. Of course, I didn't go, but said my guardian Mono with the same appearance as me. I loved her, but it doesn't mean that I would go to such lengths to take advantage of her weakness and do something perverted to her. I refused to become a scumbag who was loyal to only her with nothing but pure love and respect. She came back from toiled, and as I dematerialized Mono into Chastiefol, she spread her arms with a silly smile and spoke, hug. She really became a pain in the ass. I shook my head and took her in my embrace. She was taller than me, so it was a little weird that a child taking a teen girl in his embrace. She also didn't mind such attitude of a pedophile, as she wrapped herself to me like a koala, then started rubbing her cheek to mine while saying perverted words. Goohee. You are very soft and smells good. No wonder women are so hungry after you. Fays are unreasonably cute. She uttered those words, then licked her lips. I was creeped out and took her to her bed. I didn't want to do the deed in this way when one was drunk with fever while the other was a child. I still want to marry her, then do it, then being forced one or the other way around. I need to prepare something for her. I thought and then stood up to leave, but stopped by her. Where are you going, Einar? Will you also leave me? She asked with teary eyes. I smiled and placed a gentle hand on her cheeks, then wiped her tears. I will never leave you, Artoria, I said gently and smiled. She sniffed and nodded. I am going to cook something really delicious for you. Really? Then I will let you go, but don't be late. I will be angry, you know? I nodded, and after a light pat on her head, I left. I first came to the kitchen to prepare porridge with chicken flavor and some hot water to wipe her sweat. After a while, I came holding a bucket of hot water and a towel while my guardian was carrying porridge soup. Yay! Einar is back. I love Einar. Artoria cheered like a little girl when I arrived. Haha, but first, lift your shirt, I told her, but forget to convey my full message. Gee. Einar wants to see my body, Disu? Disu? She was uttering some words that I used to say sometimes. Yaha, I am otaku degenerate now, Disu wa? She said, then lifted her shirt without even thinking for a second. Wait. I wanted to stop her, but it was too late as I could see her bare breasts in a growing stage. She was similar to Artoria in the Fate series although they were small but still visible. I felt a warm liquid that could come out from my nose from just staring at her breasts. It was not my first time that I got to see a naked girl since I used to live with Merlin, and catching him with women was usual for me, but it was my first time that I could see her without any clothes. Gui. Einar no ekidisu. I saw her looking at me with a smug face. I shook my head to get rid of dirty thoughts and sighed. I then wiped her back and belly with warm water without thinking much and let her wear lion pajama with the help of my guardian. Now then say ah, I asked with soup on the spoon. She was only looking at my eyes with a burning face while opening her mouth and taking the sip. I then fed her the rest of the soup with a smile while she was only staring at me like she was feeling guilty. Can you tell me stories about something? She asked, looking at my eyes. Haha, anything for you. Just get well soon. It would be troublesome if you remain this way. Then. I want to dream of a lion running across plains. She looked at the sky and spoke. I smiled and took out a book from my storage and told the name of the story to her. Want to hear the story of the Lion King? She smiled brightly and wiped a tear from her eyes. She then made some space on her bed and tapped the woolen mattress, indicating that she wants me to lie beside her. I knew that I would catch her cold if I do that, but I was too lazy to go against her request and blinded by her demands. I lay beside her and opened the book to tell her story, but before I could start, she moved closer and kissed my cheek. Thank you, Einar. She said, then put her head on my arm and wrapped her hands and a leg around me. I only smiled, then start telling her the story. So the story starts with a lion running across the plains. K's POV. I came back from the work after weather calmed down but didn't see anyone. I knew that Artoria was a little ill, but bearing with her was not in my hand, so I used the timely excuse to escape, leaving the troublesome dragon-human hybrid to half-fae who was a blind lover. What a unique combination. I slowly opened the door of her room and saw an unfamiliar view. Both of them were sleeping peacefully like there is no war outside their world. Einar was holding a book, probably a new book he wrote for Artoria, since the title of the book was The Lion King. I smiled, then adjusted the blanket before leaving with the book to read and release some stress. At that time I was the only one among them, no in the world who knew that they would suffer utterly, that could break the will of any person, but I was too human and powerless to tell them and stop them from their stupid play. I knew my beloved siblings would suffer, but they were inhuman who were living with similar ideologies on the surface and different beliefs from inside. They were bound to be defeated. I didn't know at that time, no, I knew all of this at that time and could have asked them to understand each other, a half-fairy who was too human and kind for his own good and a person with twisted fate leading towards her demise. Then what? Einar's POV. Cough asterisk cough asterisk. I was coughing the next morning, the next day suffering from the fever. I am so sorry. Artoria was apologizing while feeding me soup. She also regained memory of what she did last night and was quite embarrassed about it. As I said, it's okay, and focus on feeding me properly, okay? I said with a smile, to which she nodded, and so the next day was spent with Artoria taking care of me. It was nice to be taken care of. By the way, Artoria, this soup is trash. Who made this? Ugh. Few more months have passed. I had been keeping up with my both physical training and magical training. Stats. Name Einar Sirius. Race, human/fae. Age, 15. Physique. Strength, E++, D+++. Mana, A+++, EX. Endurance, D, C+. Agility, D+++, B+. Luck, EX. My strength went from lowest grade to third high grade was evidence that I had improved quite a lot. My mana also exceeded the normal amount and was still soaring to even grew higher. I had more mana than Merlin, and now that I had EX rank mana, I even outmatched Vivian, whose mana reserve was similar to mine. My endurance also got improved because of harsh training with Artoria and regular spars with her. Same with the training, my agility to move was improved a lot. This is good progress. I nodded with satisfaction. I didn't have disappointments from my physical aspects since my training was going a lot smoother than I expected with visible experience. The best part was that I was able to grow 2 inches long. I still looked like an 11-years-old child, but I was not discouraged. I was reading the book of Chastiefol when I heard Artoria running towards me. She stopped and asked, "What are you doing, Einar?" "Just some work." "Is there a new task?" "Yes, Hector is calling both of us." That old man. Although we completed our daily quota of tasks given by Hector, he still sometimes asked us to do some additional work. We then went to the house and saw Hector reading the Lion King book, the family's most readable book. "Ah, both of you are here, Einar, Artoria." Hector closed the book when he saw our presence. And, in VN, Hector called Artoria by her real name than her masculine name Arthur. "Do you have some work for us, Sir Hector?" I asked. "Yes, Artoria, Einar, it seems like Kay forgot his things. Go to town and bring it to him. You can make it on time if you leave now," Hector said, pointing at Kay's lance and his other armor for jousting. Sigh asterisk my own brother, a knight, forgetting his own lance? Is that possible? Artoria sighed and said with a helpless smile. He is becoming a little lazy, it seems. I have to threaten him by catching some of his affairs. I said my dangerous thoughts loud that was ignored by both Artoria and Hector for the best. Indeed, must be because there have been no jousting held in recent years. Hector chucked and said, reminding us that game of jousting existed in that era. It was because of high tension that game like jousting was forgotten but still liked to be played by knights. Jousting is a martial game or hastelude between 2 horsemen wielding lances with blunted tips, often as part of a tournament. The primary aim was to replicate a clash of heavy cavalry, with each participant trying hard to strike the opponent while riding towards him at high speed, breaking the lance on the opponent's shield or jousting armor if possible, or unhorsing him. Another one of Roman gifts. Understood, I only have to take this to Brother K, right? Artoria agreed, and I also nodded since she did most of her tasks with me. Do so, this will be your last task for the day, Hector said with a sigh, looking a little sad for some unknown reason, then continued to read the book. Both of us nodded and then took all the things and packed them to take them to town to Brother K. I didn't put them in my personal storage since according to Artoria, it is better if I don't show this kind of magic in public. We soon entered and heard odd news. It's Merlin. Merlin has come. A girl cheerfully said to her friend when she saw Merlin. Merlin? Why is he here? I thought since Merlin only moves from place to place for 2 reasons. One is a woman and the other is flowers. Merlin? Artoria asked questionably to the passing by girl. He came here saying that he will choose Uther's heir. All the knights of the realm gathering, the girl said. The one who pulls the sword from the stone shall become the new king. Another girl added. Who will it be? Who will become king? They were so cheerful, then they noticed me and surrounded me. Sir Einar, you should also try. You will become a king and then I will be your wife. Yeah, me too. I will become the wife of a mage who is similar to our age, but so talented. They were praising me, but those words of literal 12-years-old girls were piercing my heart with painful arrows, who still thinking that I was 12 years old. And yes, not only older women but little girls like them often approached me to become closer to me and become my wife in the future. You might think that isn't that pedophilia? The answer might suit you, but it's not. They were told by their parents to target me for the best partner, and these girls also didn't mind approaching me since I had an angelic face. Haha brats, you guys are too early for marriage. Go and develop some assets, before even thinking about marrying the great me. I said jokingly and patted their head. It was Merlin's way of sending little girls away without breaking maidens' hearts. They went Kia. Then run away by that they will tell their parents the good news about this. I shook my head and about to tease Artoria when I saw her about thinking something. I see. She said and didn't even pay attention that I was proposed by 2 underage girls. Normally she would just release a cold aura to keep tabs on people approaching me, but now there was something else in her mind. I guess peaceful times are over. I mentally sighed. I knew that time was near when she would draw the sword from slab, making her the king. I also guessed that she would be concerned that she will soon be the king of a nation as a man named Arthur Pendragon. I could only support her in her resolve, so I just smiled and patted her back. "What are you waiting for? Let's go," I said with a bright smile to cheer her mood. She also smiled in return and nodded before holding my hand and walking away. "Hey, we are in public," I retorted, since she was a male for the outside world and a man holding a man's hand would be perceived as homosexual, right? But she didn't listen to me and resumed her walk. We soon came to an open area where many knights from the district gathered. And there was the sword that made me doubt from my whole life, the sword of selection, Caliban. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kayashin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.